NATO allies have implemented unprecedented sanctions. We provide support to Ukraine. At the same time, NATO is not part of the conflict. NATO is a defensive alliance. We don't seek war, conflict with Russia. At the same time, we need to make sure that there is no misunderstanding about our commitment to defend and protect all allies, and therefore we have increased the presence of NATO forces in the eastern part of the alliance. This is a defensive presence, and I welcome the strong commitment from the United States with more troops. I met many of them, and it's always great to meet US troops in Europe and to see their commitment and their professionalism being part of the transatlantic bond.
Ally, in one way or another, is coming to Ukraine's assistance. Every ally, in one way or another, is helping to strengthen NATO itself. And as the Secretary General said, ours is a defensive alliance. We seek no conflict. But if conflict comes to us, we're ready for it. And we will defend every inch of NATO territory.
We now go to Berlin, where we are joined by Volker Stanzel, who is a retired ambassador and a senior distinguished fellow at the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on the program today. Now, we just heard from Antony Blinken and Jens Stoltenberg there condemning Russia once again and saying that they are giving their full support of Ukraine and ramping up their efforts to make their posts in the NATO member countries stronger than it has ever been. But is what they're doing for Ukraine at this point in the crisis enough to help Ukrainians battle Russian forces?
I think it may help Ukrainian to continue battling for maybe longer time without those arms. But indeed, the fear is that, as your correspondent from Kiev just said, the situation may become untenable and gets uglier by the day. If you recall what Putin told an interlocutor in 2014 in the conflict over Donbass, he said that it will take Russian forces 2 weeks to get to Kiev or to capture Kiev. Now, we have only 1 week. And if Putin said yesterday that things are going according to plan, that seems like it's the plan of 2014. 2 weeks until he conquers the capital of Ukraine. So can forces arms that are made available to Ukrainian forces by NATO countries help to alleviate the situation? Yes. Can they stop the war? Can they help stop the war? No. But by prolonging the war that is going on, the hope is obviously that there will be not only external pressure, but also domestic pressure on Putin that brings him into a situation where he is ready to negotiate seriously about ending the conflict.
Do you think Putin will give in to that pressure? Because we're seeing more and more companies pull out their operations in Russia, which is putting pressure on the Russian people as well, making their lives a bit harder. Obviously, the Russian economy is under a lot of pressure as well. Do you think that will bring Putin to the negotiating table?
Well, we can only speculate, but you see the pressure is growing. Ordinary Russians are feeling the pressure. That, of course, will not move Putin at all. But if people that he relies on, the oligarchs and the security apparatus, if they see the reality as it is in Russia now, maybe they will have a strong enough voice to persuade Putin to rethink his plans.
You mentioned the plan that Russia had back in 2014 of going into the capital in 2 weeks' time. But what we've been hearing from analysts is that Russia actually planned to take control of the capital shortly after it began attacking Ukraine. Has Putin made any sort of miscalculations in his assault into Ukraine at all?
That we don't know. But I think logic tells us that, of course, he would have tried to get to the capital as soon as possible and to get hold of the whole of Ukraine within a few days. Every strategist, military strategist, would have the same kind of goal. It didn't work out that way, so he's falling back on his original plan, which is 2 weeks. And as he said in his recent statement to President Macron, what he's after is getting hold of the whole of Ukraine. I think that is a realistic assumption.
We heard from Lavrov yesterday say he is sure this crisis will be solved, and they are also eager to reach some sort of a ceasefire agreement. And the results from the meeting between the two sides didn't show those results, even though there was a sense of optimism coming off the back of his speech. Some analysts say this could be a tactic used by the Russians to buy some time. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do. Because you have different voices coming out of Moscow. You have Lavrov saying there is a possibility that they will reach an agreement, but there's Putin, on the other hand, who denies any such possibility except total capitulation, disarmament of Ukraine. So the two statements are contradictory, and I think it disturb and to alienate the forces in Ukraine.
All right, Volker Stanzel, thank you so much for joining us here on Tier 2 World and sharing that analysis with us. We really appreciate it.